Welcome to Tech Bytes with Dan Hafner, your gateway to the future of innovation and technology. Dive into the exciting world of software where cutting-edge tech meets creativity. Explore no-code solutions that empower businesses to thrive without traditional barriers. Hear inspiring stories from tech pioneers and industry leaders who are changing the game. Join us on Tech Bytes and transform the way you think about technology and business.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. My name is Dan Hafner. Another episode of Today in Tech for you guys here on the Tech Bytes podcast. As always, thank you all for joining and appreciate you all tuning in and supporting the show. So today, got some interesting stories we're going to cover. There is a really interesting push that is coming for the AI plan at aiming at U.S. global leadership that President Trump just announced. We're going to go through that story. Google is launching an AI-powered web guide experiment in the U.S. search market, which is very, very interesting. That the whole search market is radically changing, and maybe, will we be even using Google years from now? Very, very interesting story. And then another kind of very interesting, kind of different take on this show. And I just kind of was very intrigued by this story. AI advances drug discovery across multiple research fields. Very interesting kind of topic on how they're using AI to kind of come up with new drugs and kind of different things. But that also has some interesting business applications for people like you and me. So that's kind of why I know it seems like a little bit of a weird story to cover, but I think that I have some thoughts on how that can actually be applicable to all of us inside of the business space. And then, is AI really taking over our jobs? There was a really interesting experiment where they actually tried to have AI take over a vending machine business for about a week. And spoiler alert, didn't go all that great. So maybe there's hope. Maybe we're not going to have robots take over all of us by the end of the year or within the next 18 months. Maybe it's still a long way off. Who knows? But we're going to cover all those stories today here on Today in Tech. So as always, thank you all for joining. Please like and subscribe to the show. And let's dive right into the very first topic here. Let me pull up the screen here and we will get into the number one story. Okay, so Trump administration unveils AI plan aiming U.S. global leadership. President Donald Trump has declared that the United States will do, quote, whatever it takes to lead and win the global race in artificial intelligence, unveiling a comprehensive AI action plan aimed at accelerating innovation, expanding AI infrastructure, and enhancing international leadership. The plan includes easing regulations, such as loosening environmental rules for data centers and semiconductor plants, and establishing a single federal standard to replace state-by-state regulations, with penalties for states imposing burdensome AI rules. We actually covered a little bit about that in a previous episode. Trump criticized the Biden administration for restricting AI innovation and emphasizing and fostering a regulatory environment. Obviously, he's going to criticize stuff. The administration strategy also prioritizes AI education for workers, ensuring AI systems remain free from ideological bias and protecting U.S. AI technologies from misuse and theft. Interesting. The plan aims to boost exports of AI software and hardware to maintain U.S. economic and military superiority, particularly against China. What are key leaders saying about this? Including AI and crypto czar David Sachs highlighted the focus on benefiting for American workers, promoting free speech, and safeguarding advanced technologies in this technological revolution. Very, very interesting. Very interesting story. So what are my thoughts on this? I think that... Man, I mean, I think I shared this on a episode previously with all of you guys. This book that I found by a friend of mine named Alex Mayer, called The Conqueror's Code, and I love this move, this preemptive move of kind of going into this this world with, hey, look, like this is happening. We're not going to bury our heads in the sand, and we need to make sure that we are, as a country, are doing everything we can to win this new quote unquote battlefield of AI, right? It's very it's almost comforting in a way that, that like that we as a country are now taking a stand to say, hey, you know what, this is a new domain, just like when the internet came out and different things like that, that we are going to do everything we can to be superior in this domain, right? And it's very interesting because I think a lot of things like, wars aren't really fought by and large anymore. Obviously there's multiple wars going on across the world, but a lot of war that happens in ways, in places unseen, right? Like, um, cyber war particularly is a very, very intriguing and interesting battlefield, because it's all code, it's all numbers, it's all deception. It's a very, very strange and interesting world that is not talked about enough, right? I actually have a degree in cybersecurity, so I get very interested in all of this kind of stuff. But yeah, going back to that book, I really think that, in that book, The Conqueror's Code, he talks about the first mover. Like the first mover, they didn't wait for permission, they didn't wait for someone to tell them it was okay. They moved. They moved even when they weren't ready, when the conditions weren't right, when the adversity was still there, and that is what's is so exciting about all of this, because also, think about like the Cold War, right? Like we as a country, we did outspend the Soviets basically into oblivion, and that's kind of why we ended up winning. Are we doing the same thing as a country? That's a whole nother conversation, possibly. But I think by and large, like it's good to be. You don't want to be 10 years from now wishing you would have invested in some things, right? As a business, you can say, okay, there's, like we do software development. There's a lot of vibe coding tools out there. We've talked about multiple times on the show, Lovable, Replit, all these different things. Um, you know, should we as software developers just bury our heads in the sand and pretend it's not happening, or should we be the first mover and actually go forth and master these things and figure these things out and set a goal for ourselves to be proficient and dominant in that space, so then we can not be afraid when jobs are being taken by AI, right? It's a mindset. It's a, hey, look, like this is something that's happening. This train is coming down the tracks, whether we like it or not. We might as well win, right? I love it. I absolutely love it. But one thing I did want to mention is, that you can get very political with all this of like, should the federal government regulate things? Should they leave it to states? Should they not? Should they do whatever? I don't really, I think I'm usually more of a let the states decide kind of person on a lot of issues. But I do feel like in this particular, topic, I really think that it at least to me, unless I hear arguments and information that contradicts it, I would actually probably be more on the side of, why wouldn't the federal government kind of have more power over this? Even though I really, like, the core of me does not like saying that, honestly. But I think it, when you have state by state things, that to me just seems, the more I think about it, the more it just seems very piecemeal and very confusing and very chaotic. Whereas if there was a national standard, that actually makes a lot more sense. And I'm sure there's edge cases and different things that might actually come up that would prove that to be not good. But it's a very, very interesting thing, and at least I would kind of fall on the side of, I think this is actually probably a better idea to do it in a federal level. But I'm open to conversations and arguments for the opposite. If any of you might have opinions on that one way or the other, I'd be happy to hear them. I'm not someone who's very closed-minded about a lot of things. I love to hear opposing arguments. I love to have debate. I love to have my mind changed. I'm very open to that. I'm not a very closed-minded person. So anyway, I just think that that's awesome that we are taking this step to be a leader in this space, to be dominant in this space. And kudos to the administration for doing that. So just wanted to mention that story. Okay. Story number 2. This is very, very interesting, with what is going on with search. So actually there was another newsletter I think I had read to you guys before, and they were talking about this kind of stuff. But this was, they kind of had another edition on this something as well. But Google launches AI-powered web guide experiment in U.S. search. Interesting. Okay. Google has launched an experimental AI-powered feature called Web Guide within its search labs that reorganizes search results into topic-based groups rather than a traditional list. This is a big change. Powered by a custom version of Google's Gemini AI and using a query fan-out technique, which I'm not really sure what that is, WebGuide processes complex or open-ended queries by conducting multiple related searches and categorizing results into distinct sections such as guides, tips, and personal experiences. This new approach aims to help users explore different facets of their queries more easily while still providing direct links to relevant web pages, maintaining elements of traditional search. So this is basically like if you have a very long question, instead of just typing a ton of that stuff into Google and getting links, it's giving you kind of like we've all seen, there's that top Gemini created search section at the top of Google now. Very, very, very interesting. So while the feature has been praised for balancing AI generated overviews with actual link listings, some users find the AI generated descriptions under categories somewhat unnecessary. This initiative reflects Google's broader push to evolve search from a simple link list into a more curated and AI enhanced answer engine, despite concerns from publishers about reduced site traffic. So speaking of that, there was this other story. I'm not going to share it, but there was that newsletter that I talked to you guys about. I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me right now, but it talked about how ChatGPT came out with a story that they have 2.5 billion chats per day at this point. 2.5 billion with a B, right? And a lot of people, like myself included, are using ChatGPT to answer things instead of, I remember one time my uncle used to say, Google that shit, right? That was his thing. Google that shit. GTS, Google that shit. ChatGPT has actually proven to be a little bit more interesting because what do you get when you type something into Google, right? You say, what is the capital of Pennsylvania? It's going to give links. It's going to give, articles. Like that's what was in Google traditionally, right? Whereas you go into, and I'm talking, that's a very simple one. I'm talking a lot more, more complex types of things. The cool thing that ChatGPT can do, especially when you enable web search, is that it's like having a conversation. It actually gives you, instead of saying, hey, I have this question, and then Google gives you link, 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 and then you still have to go and click into that, read it, you kind of conglomerate your stuff, and you come up with your own reasoning and your own answer. ChatGPT and other types of, maybe even Claude, Grok, all these other ones, they're just giving you like the answer in a conversational type of format, which is interesting, right? Because I honestly think that the old format, you had to still go and do extra work. You had to still click in, read articles, learn about things, watch YouTube videos, whatever. That makes you think critically. That makes you actually like maybe be forced to look at different sources. I didn't really get anything useful out of that one. Let's go to this one. Let's go to this one, whatever. But we also are in the age of the microwave society, meaning that we want our answers now. And ChatGPT gives you the exact thing. Can it be biased? Yes, I'm sure Google can be biased as well. I think all of these are biased. But it's very, very interesting. I think the way that, I think Google should probably be nervous. I think they still have a query number of about 14 billion per day, which is 7 times the amount of ChatGPT, like 6 or 7 times. But if I had to predict this stuff, I would say that more people are going to start using tools like ChatGPT and AI-based things for different searches and more complex things. Why? Because that gives you the answer right away. You don't have to click into things. You don't have to do those types of things to get the answer that you want. And how is this relevant to businesses, right? If you're searching for something like this, like I need an app development company in Pittsburgh, Google's going to give you lists like links, top links, map views, all those types of things. If you now go to ChatGPT and say the same thing, what is that going to do? Right? It's going to give you a conversational based list where you can still have those links and go to those if you so choose. But I actually was asking it this morning. I said, like, who are the top software development companies in the world? who are the top experts inside of the no code space, all these different things. And it actually gave me names and answers and reasons why and evidence why. And it was amazing. Like, it actually just provided me those things instead of seeing a list with the 25 best and then a list of the 3 best and a list of the 50 best and then click here to go this and then there's ads everywhere. That's the major shift that has happened. So if you can have your business positioned in this way of, what if your name is recommended in ChatGPT? That's amazing. There's 2.5 billion searches happening. Now that's overall, maybe inside of, it's just like Google Trends, right? How many searches are actually happening for your particular keyword or phrase inside of a day? I'm sure ChatGPT will come out with information around that someday. But man, as a business owner, as a online service provider, there is a massive, massive, massive opportunity right now to jump in and take advantage of this. I'd be very interested to hear from like my friends in the SEO world. Is SEO dead? Is Google search dead? Is it now, what they call AEO, AI engine optimization? Is this kind of the new thing? Be very, very interested to hear from someone who's a lot more versed in this topic around what are the implications, not implementations, the implications of this. Because I've actually had people come to me, book calls with me, discovery, sales calls, whatever you want to call them, because they were searching for software development things on ChatGPT, and my company was actually recommended. Like, that is a real thing that has happened. I was like, how did I was just, how did you find me? How did you hear about me? Oh, I had searched for some things and your company was mentioned on ChatGPT. It's like, what? That's amazing. That's absolutely sick, right? That is something that I did not have to do a single thing about. I've not even paid attention to this yet. And then boom, there it is, right? I think that's the same feeling people had when they would go and they would say, hey, we found you on Google. Oh, great. That's awesome. I didn't even know I was there, right? Man, what an interesting thing. So for Google to be launching, like, kind of trying to compete with this, it just shows that they're nervous. They're nervous that search is changing. The way that people engage with things is changing. And I don't think it's ever going to go back. I don't think it's ever going to go back. I mean, even I myself, I use ChatGPT for more searches than I do Google anymore. To be honest, I really, really have shifted the way that I behave in that. So I'm just, one example of all of that. So that is that story. Now let's go on to our last one. This is the one I was telling you guys about, where we have the medical stuff that's kind of interesting. So here is this story. Okay. AI advances drug discovery across multiple research fields. Very interesting. Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing drug discovery and development by enabling faster, more precise identification and testing of potential therapeutic compounds. It's pretty wild. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania are using AI to accelerate antibiotic development, going from discovery to testing within weeks, a major improvement over traditional methods. In cancer research, AI-designed proteins are being used to guide immune cells to tumors, exemplifying new immunotherapy approaches with potential for personalized treatments. I'm sorry if I'm losing you guys in the medical terms. I'm just reading through this here, but you'll see where I'm going. Just stick with me, okay? Pharmaceutical companies are employing AI to predict drug efficacy. Efficacy, is that how you say that word? And safety before synthesis, thereby optimizing research and development and reducing risks associated with clinical trials. Additionally, new AI-powered platforms like Turbine's cell simulation technology are enhancing the study of antibody drug conjugates by modeling complex cellular interactions, which is critical for designing precise cancer therapies. Wow, that was a mouthful of sense. Here's the bottom line. Overall, AI and machine learning are not only expanding the drug candidate pipeline, but also improving the understanding of biological systems and accelerating the path from discovery to clinical application. That, my friends, is absolutely freaking wild. Like, let's break this down. This is how I process this. Okay. Um, what are they actually doing here? They're using AI they're feeding, like, us as business owners, as online people, we feed into ChatGPT different things around, like, hey, what do I need to do for marketing? How do I need to make this conversion better? What can I do for this project? How can I make this more productive? What some of these companies are doing, it seems like, is feeding, their data, these scientific things, these medical things, and all this mountains of data into these LLM models, and saying, hey, here's the breakdown of what this drug does, how this works, the chemical makeup, whatever. What might be different combinations? What might be a different thing that we are, as humans, are missing, or would take years to figure out, that AI can turn around and figure out in an hour or a minute, right? I mean, if you think about the last, what do they always say about the 20th century, the 1900s, right? The biggest advances were in, I mean, you have military tech and everything like that, but you also have, why did people only used to live to be in their 40s? Now people live to be in their hundreds, right? The advances of medical things, the advances of medical technology and drugs that keep people alive and can cure diseases and can do different things, vaccinations, all this different stuff. And I know this is a big sensitive topic for a lot of people anymore, but just stick with me on this. This is where I'm going. So it's very interesting that they are, like, AI is being used to now accelerate the development, the ideation, and the actual compilation of these types of things, and be able to actually produce new products at record pace, like breakneck pace. That is absolutely insane. Imagine if you applied this principle into your business, into the way that you do certain things. And here's where I wanted to this is why I covered this story, because what if we took the same approach as creators, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, and we said, hey, you know what? I really, really like the way that, I'm just going to pick something out of the blue here. I really like the way that, Mac computers work, or iPads, or iOS software, just for example. I know people love or hate it, right? But what I want to do is take the concepts, the process, the psychology behind why people enjoy this software and what the iOS software is, and I want to put that into my HVAC business, or I want to put that into my law firm. I want to put that into my medical practice. I want to put that into my software development practice, right? That's freaking interesting. That's interesting. And I'll tell you why, because this is where AI shines. This is where, if you sat down, you might take a whole day to kind of think through. Maybe you whiteboard out some things, you jot some things down on sticky notes, you type it up, whatever you do. I mean, this is where AI can really, really just boom, give you like unprecedented, super fast, fresh ideas that then you can build on as the human, right? Man, I think that is one big area that people are missing around what these types of LLM models can do. And man, I think that, if you aren't really kind of thinking about that, I read a thing the other day. This guy turned, you can build your own custom GPTs in ChatGPT, right? And if you don't, you can do that. It's really cool. But what they did is, I've built many myself. They went super deep, and they built one that is literally designed to be like a clone of Warren Buffett, the most famous investor ever, right? And it was actually really interesting because it was so in depth. It was so deep and well researched and well crafted. It was almost like a 40,000 line prompt for how this model should respond as Warren Buffett. I mean, they said it took them like 48 hours to come up with and build, right? That is so much more powerful and different than just being like, acting as Warren Buffett, give me investing advice on Tesla, right? Way different. I mean, they went into his background, into his business, into his daily structure, into all this different stuff. Man, what if you did that? Right? What if you did that? I've known, like, at times when I've been using ChatGPT for different ideas and things that I've been wanting to do, I have literally spent maybe 15 or 20 minutes just writing the prompt, typing in the prompt that I'm trying to come to have ChatGPT help me with. And I'll be honest, that is where the real good stuff comes from, and the real answers, where it's like, oh shit, I never thought of that. That's really interesting, because garbage in, garbage out, right? You put a garbage prompt in, you're going to get a garbage prompt or response out. And the quality of what you're putting into it, and just feeding these things into it. I would encourage people to kind of maybe think about that in different ways, right? Like, how can I push the limits of what ChatGPT can do for me? How can I push the limits of these things? I mean, that's such an interesting idea that they're doing this in the medical field. What could you do in your business to combine those things, to combine data sets, to combine ideas, to combine businesses, to combine products, anything, right? Gosh, there's a whole new frontier there. There's a whole new frontier there. And that's really, really exciting. Very exciting stuff. Okay. Now, last story I wanted to talk about with you guys. Let me pull this up. I have it over here. So this is a very, very interesting story. This is called Claudius the AI Shopkeeper. So I had pretty much asked ChatGPT for this show, give me a funny story that's happening in the world of AI, right? So I'm just going to read this to you guys not watching. Claudius the AI Shopkeeper, chaos in vending machine retail. Anthropic once handed over a real office shop to its AI assistant, Claude, named Claudius, and let it run things for 1 month. The goal: make profit, manage inventory, send emails to suppliers, set prices, basically run a small retail operation by itself, right? So how did Claudius do? Spoiler, not so great. Highlights from this AI-powered roller coaster ride. Expectation: increased profit above $1,000. Reality: dropped to under $800. So yeah, a loss. Expectation: operate by the book. Reality: employees implored discount codes. Claudius obliged. So he's giving out discounts. Expectation: stay rational under pressure. Reality: gave away free crisps and even a tungsten cube, which I don't even know what that is. Expectation: sound like a well-trained assistant. Reality: hallucinated conversations, claimed experiences it never had. I've had that happen, right? Researchers ultimately concluded if Anthropic were expanding into office vending, they wouldn't hire Claudius. Nonetheless, the experiment gave a glimpse into how unpredictable real-world AI can be. Despite the chaos, they see potential, right? Obviously, these assistants might actually run parts of the economy someday, not perfectly, but cheaper than humans. So why this story is a gem, right? AI still scrambles under real-world pressure, perfect for reminding us to keep human oversight tight. Vibe coding tools might generate code fast, but debugging and real-world smartness still needs careful tuning. I'm actually doing a talk on that in October here in Pittsburgh. That'll be a very interesting one. And then, man, that's such an interesting story. As far as like, okay, like let's actually put AI to the test. Let's have it run this little shop by itself and see what happens. And sure enough, there's actually not a date that I found on this one. So it might even be a made up story. Who the hell knows? But if this is true, I'm actually while I'm doing that, I'm actually going to pull that up because I want to find the date on this. And where is the date on this one? Where is it? Yeah, see, there's no, it's from Time Magazine. Okay, so it is like an actual article. Oh, here we go. June 27th, 2025. Okay, that's when the article was published, at least. Doesn't say when this was. No. Oh, on the eve of March 31st. So this was earlier in 2025. Okay. Earlier in 2025. Interesting. So, yeah, that's why when I hear all these people that come out and say, "Hey, AI is going to take over, and kill us all, or take 80% of the jobs in the world over the next 5 years," I still don't buy it. I really, really don't buy it. I've seen too much. I'm not a super advanced, AI user at this point. I can hold my own and do a lot more than a lot of people. I think, at least I like to think so, but I don't see it. I don't see it coming out. I actually saw on our TV the other day, or there's the movie you can watch free right now. I think on one of those channels is iRobot. I love that movie. There's so much prophetic stuff in it as far as what's going on today. I remember when, I think it was when they brought out that new Optimus bot that Elon was talking about and showcasing. It looked almost exactly like the robots in iRobot, which is ridiculously like bold to do. It was like, oh, like this is where this came from. Okay, interesting. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see. I think that there's going to be. That's the thing. There's going to be things that are super advanced and can do a lot of things, and there's going to be things that come out that are just not going to be getting the job done and not doing what you'd expect them to do. And I think that's probably going to be the reality of the world for the next 20 to 25 years. Is there's going to be really, really advanced things, and there's going to be really, really dumbed down, not really, janky kind of looking AI types of things. And it really depends on who's building it and who's doing it and what the quality of it is and what the funding behind them is and what the mission behind them is and all that stuff. So just thought I'd throw that story out there just for any of you thinking that AI is about to take over the entire world in 2025. I think you're okay. I at least, don't take it to the bank. But I think you'll be okay. I don't think, if they can't even run a simple little shop, how are they going to take over the world? Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'll be the first one they come for. When they can actually do this, who knows? But yeah, that is all for this show. Really, really appreciate you guys coming on. As always, you guys can check us out at dappernocode.com. As I mentioned, if any of you are in the Pittsburgh area or maybe be interested in coming to the Pittsburgh area, please let me know. I'll be happy to accommodate anyone. Doing a talk here in Pittsburgh in end of October on the whole AI MVP myth, like I mentioned. How do you actually vibe code stuff to make it sure that it's not broken, that it's actually going to work long term, that it's not going to be major pain in your ass. That's kind of what the whole talk is going to be on. It's going to be very, very interesting. I'm very excited for it. It's going to be at Pittsburgh Tech Fest. You can actually look that up. I don't have the link for it here, but I'll put that on the next show. So, all right, guys, that is all for today. Have a great Friday, great rest of your Friday, a great weekend. And as always, if you know anyone that might get value out of the show, please share this episode with them or the show with them so they can check it out and subscribe as well. Talk later, guys. See ya.
Thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes, your go-to show for software business and technology. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with our latest episodes, insights, and stories. Hungry for more? Dive deeper into the world of no-code by visiting dappernocode.com. Your journey to building amazing software without coding skills starts there. Connect with like-minded creators and unlock a world of resources tailored just for you. Subscribe now. Explore Dapper No Code and let's innovate together.